Kool and the gang wasn't trying to write a masterpiece. They were just trying to make you move. And that roadie's voice, still getting people on the dance floor 50 years later. Number 9. Shake, 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 shake your booty. KC and the Sunshine Band, 1976. The legacy. Here's the thing about a song this simple. It doesn't age. It doesn't require context or explanation. 50 years from now, people will still understand what "shake your booty" means. If you've ever been at a wedding reception when that opening hits, if you've ever watched your aunt who never dances suddenly get on the floor, you know. Sometimes the joke is on anyone who thinks music has to be complicated to be great. Only a small percentage of people watching right now are subscribed. If these stories matter to you, or you felt something watching, hit subscribe. Soul history deserves to be remembered properly. Now, back to the countdown. Number 8. Brick House, Commodores, 1977. She knew that when you hear that bass level. So, he said yes. The problem was, he died eating fried chicken, on watching them play. And suddenly, it hit him. Per bag, his chicken came in and started scribbling lyrics. A song about a car wash. A place where the boss doesn't mind if you act a fool. Where you might meet your girl. Simple, catchy, built on a groove that mimics the rhythm of an actual car wash. He wanted the music to sound like a machine. The soundtrack won a Grammy. A song that came from a chicken bag during a basketball timeout became the biggest hit of Norman Whitfield's post-Motown career. The lesson. Here's what I think about when I hear car wash. Norman Whitfield didn't want this project. He took it for the check, and he still couldn't help but make something timeless. That's what separates the great ones. Even their throwaway work has genius in it. If you've ever sung along to "Workin' at the Car Wash" without knowing any of this, now you know. That hook was born on a greasy paper bag. Number 6. The Rubber Band Man. The Spinners. 1976. The dismissal. The co-writer of this song thought the lyrics were just plain dumb. She told the producer. He recorded it anyway. The producer, Tom Bell, was one of the architects of the Philadelphia sound. He'd already produced 5 #1 R&B hits for the Spinners. But by 1976, the group needed a crossover pop hit. Bell had an idea, a very personal one. The inspiration. His son Mark was being teased at school for being overweight. The other kids called him the Fat Man. Bell wanted to change how his son saw himself, so he wrote a song about a big guy who was the life of the party. The guy everyone waited for, because when he showed up, things got started. Originally it was called The Fat Man, then The Big Man. The pushback. Bell brought his songwriting partner Linda Creed in to help with the melody. Creed thought the lyrics were ridiculous. Just plain dumb, she reportedly said. A song about a dancing large man with a walking cane, only keeping time? The Spinners were known for sophisticated soul. This felt like a novelty track. Bell didn't care. He changed the title to The Rubber Band Man, and even choreographed a dance routine involving actual rubber bands. The Vindication. The song Creed thought was dumb hit #2 on the Hot 100. Stayed there for 3 weeks. Topped the R&B chart. Became one of the Spinners' biggest hits. Decades later, it showed up in Avengers: Infinity War, introducing it to millions of people who weren't even born when it came out. At the heart, here's what gets me. Tom Bell wrote this for his son, to make a bullied kid feel better about himself. The silly lyrics were the point. He wanted to celebrate people who don't fit the mold, the ones who show up and light up the room anyway. Sometimes the songs that sound the simplest carry the deepest love. If you're nodding right now, you get it. Number 5. Play That Funky Music. Wild Cherry, 1976. The Heckle. A white rock band got heckled by an audience member. They wrote it down. It became their only hit. The band Wild Cherry was a hard rock cover band from Ohio. By 1975, disco was taking over and their gigs were drying up. Nobody wanted to hear Led Zeppelin covers when they could be dancing. The band's leader, Rob Parisi, tried to convince his bandmates to play more dance music. They resisted. They didn't want to be labeled a disco band. The night one night at the 2001 club in Pittsburgh, playing for a predominantly black audience, someone shouted at them during a break, "Are you white boys gonna play some funky music?" Parisi didn't get offended. He grabbed a pen and a drink order pad and wrote down exactly what was happening to them. A rock band forced to change with the times. The song. The song was autobiographical. Once I was a boogie singer playing in a rock and roll band. It was self-deprecating, almost a joke about their own situation. When they recorded it, the band was nervous about those lyrics. "Play that funky music, white boy." Parisi's own father told him to take it out. The label executives were worried. Parisi refused to change a word. The Explosion. And that self-aware, almost mocking track went to #1. Both the pop and R&B charts. Billboard named Wild Cherry Best New Pop Group of the Year. a Grammy nomination followed. They were playing the Grammy show within months of being heckled at a club. The aftermath. Here's the thing, they never had another hit. Wild Cherry became the definition of a one-hit wonder. But what a way to go. A song born from heckling, from embarrassment, from being forced to adapt. If you've ever had to reinvent yourself, if you've ever been told you don't belong somewhere and decided to make yourself belong anyway, this song is for you. The joke became the legend. Number 4. Disco Duck, Rick Dees, 1976. The firing. This man got fired from his radio job for mentioning his own song. 5 days later, it was number 1 in America. The DJ Rick Dees was a morning DJ in Memphis, not a musician, a disc jockey who made people laugh between songs. In 1976, disco was everywhere, and Dees thought it was ripe for parody. He met a guy at his gym who could do a perfect duck voice. That was enough. The Creation Dees wrote Disco Duck in a single day, a novelty song about disco with a quacking Donald Duck-style voice. It was intentionally silly, the kind of thing you'd expect to play once and forget. He released it on a tiny Memphis label called Freetone, founded by Estelle Axton, the Axe in Stax Records. The conflict. Here's where it gets wild. The song started catching on in the South, but Dees wasn't allowed to play it on his own show. Station management said it was a conflict of interest. Rival stations in Memphis wouldn't touch it either, afraid they'd be promoting the competition. So Disco Duck was a regional hit that couldn't get played in its own city. The explosion. On October 11th, 1976, Dees mentioned the song on his show. Didn't play it, just mentioned it. His station fired him. 5 days later, Disco Duck hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Number 15 R&B, sold over 4 million copies. Won a People's Choice Award. The song was even featured in Saturday Night Fever, though Dees' manager made the unfortunate decision to keep it off the soundtrack album. The redemption. Rick Dees got a new job at the rival station. They let him play his song all he wanted. And he went on to become one of the most famous DJs in the country, hosting weekly Top 40 for decades. The Moral A joke song. A duck voice from a guy at the gym. A firing that happened right before the biggest moment of his career. If that's not proof that the universe has a sense of humor, I don't know what is. Number 3. Troglodyte, Caveman, The Jimmy Castor Bunch, 1972. The concept Jimmy Castor made a funk song about cavemen hitting women with clubs. It introduced a character named Bertha Butt, and it went top 10. The artist Jimmy Castor was a serious musician. Started as a doo-wop singer in the 50s, played saxophone, wrote songs for Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. The man had credentials. But in 1972, he decided to do something completely different. The story Troglodyte opens with Castor telling a story about prehistoric times, about a caveman who saw a woman and, well, the original lyrics were even wilder than what made it to radio. He hits her with a club, drags her by the hair. The whole caveman stereotype set to the funkiest groove you've ever heard. And he introduces Bertha Butt, one of the Butt sisters. At the absurdity. This should not have worked. It was a novelty record wrapped in a serious funk arrangement. The spoken word intro was theatrical, almost comedic. Critics didn't know what to make of it. Was it satire? Was it just silly? Did it matter? The success. The song peaked at number 6 on the Hot 100. Number 4, R&B, sold over 500,000 copies, certified gold, and it became one of the most sampled songs in hip-hop history. That funky breakdown? Producers have been chopping it up for decades. The caveman joke became the foundation for countless beats. The universe Jimmy Castor kept Bertha Butt alive too. She came back in 1975 for the Bertha Butt Boogie, a whole character universe born from a novelty track. If you've ever thought your silliest idea wasn't worth pursuing, think about this. A song about cavemen dragging women around became a hip-hop sample goldmine. Jimmy Castor knew something the rest of us forget. Sometimes you have to let yourself be ridiculous to make something timeless. Number 2, Kung Fu Fighting. Carl Douglas, 1974. The time, 10 minutes. 2 takes. That's all it took to record one of the best-selling singles of all time. The setup. Carl Douglas was a Jamaican-born session singer living in London. His producer, Biddu, was British Indian. They were working on a song called I Want to Give You My Everything, written by Larry Weiss, who had also written Rhinestone Cowboy. That was supposed to be the hit, but they needed something for the B-side. The question Biddu asked Douglas if he had any lyrics lying around. Douglas showed him a few. One of them was about the Kung Fu movie craze that was sweeping through theaters. Bruce Lee had just changed everything. Enter the Dragon was huge. Biddu picked that one. They had 10 minutes of studio time left. The recording 2 takes. That's all they recorded. And because it was just a B-side, Biddu went over the top. The whoos and ha's, the chopping sounds, the campy oriental riff. He later said it was a B-side. Who was going to listen? He didn't take any of it seriously. The shock 11 million copies. Number 1 in 12 countries. Number 1 on both the Billboard Hot 100 and the Soul Singles chart. One of the best-selling singles in history. A song recorded in 10 minutes, never meant to be heard, with sound effects the producer added as a joke. The reality Carl Douglas and Biddu created something from almost nothing. Neither of them were Chinese. Neither of them knew much about martial arts. They just saw what was happening in culture and threw something together. And it worked. If you've ever sung Everybody Was Kung Fu Fighting at the top of your lungs without knowing any of this, you're not alone. That B-side joke became immortal.